Here we go.
Both. Finally got their name on.
And for some reason,
About time.
that's what this starts from here.
Yeah.
Good evening, I'm District Secretary Nicole Gonzalez. It is Tuesday, January 3rd, 2017, and this is a regular meeting of the Dublin San Ramon Services District Board of Directors. Presiding this evening is President Rich Falcon.
Thank you. All right, let's call it to order and pledge the flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. I'll have some roll call, please.
Director Howard,
Here.
Director Duarte,
Here.
Director Michalak, here. Vice President Juanita Leopold, here. President Falcon.
Here. Okay, special announcements activities.
There's a question of should there be a January 17th board meeting? The last board meeting was suggested perhaps January 16th would be a better date because of a conflict with the CASA conference, but that happens to fall on Martin Luther King Day. So we've been able to move some items. We accelerated a couple items onto this agenda that we're going to do on January 17th. We're able to move a few other non-time critical items off into February. So as of right now, January 17th looks clean. We believe we can cancel the meeting unless anything comes up tonight that warrants the board needs a meeting in January. If there is, we would have to look for another date.
Well done. Thank you. Anything else? Okay, public comment. This is the opportunity to comment on things that are not on the agenda. Sue, you have anything? All right. Mine. Report, 6A, reports, general manager and staff.
Yes, we have a groundbreaking ceremony for the Derwa Phase 2 project on January 25th. We have an invitation card at each of your places showing that that will be at 10 a.m. That event is rain or shine. We have a backup contingency plan if it's rain. So we're all set to go. We're inviting lots of folks, staff, and elected officials from all the neighboring agencies and our partner agencies on that. So January 25th at 10 a.m. that's the plan. Also coming up, interesting event here in about 2 weeks, the East Bay Leadership Council, a collection of business types and general interest in the public as an advocacy group for public policy at a local and statewide basis. Their water task force is having a presentation. It's actually being hosted by DSRSD, January 17th, at Dublin City Hall Community Room. The purpose is to talk about potable reuse and recycled water collaborations in the Tri-Valley. Staff from 3 agencies, DSRSD, Zone 7, and City of Pleasant County for the presentation. So that's an 8:15 a.m. to 10 a.m. event, January 17th at Dublin City Hall. And we'll include that in the bi-weekly update, so you'll see it in writing.
That's it. Awesome. Joint Power, 6B, Joint Power Committee and your reports. I don't see any. Okay there. 6C, Agenda Management. Looks like a really straightforward back agenda. Anybody have any request changes? None. Move forward to that. Item 7, approval of minutes of the regular meeting of December 20th, 2016.
I'll move for approval.
I'll second that.
I have a motion in 2 seconds. I'll take Ed's on this one. All in favor? Aye. Awesome. Consent calendar. We have a lovely consent calendar consisting of 3 items, typically taken as a whole. Items 8A through C. Do I have a motion or anybody want to pull anything?
8C.
Pull 8C.
Okay, I'll move for approval of 8A and B.
I'll second.
All right, now I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's talk about 8C.
A couple of questions. What was the amount that we spent on to receive the 90% drawings in 2009? Approximately.
prior year's expenditures capture the whole thing? Design?
Yes, including staff times.
No, I mean Corollas, not our staff.
Correct. Yes, the prior years.
It looks like I don't have that information available.
I hate to be stern with the lot, but asking for $236,000 additional task order to finish drawings that are already 90% complete. Granted, there's a FOB, this evaluation service that we want to provide. There's revised cost estimate, which they've got 40 hours to do. An estimate's already been done once. I'm disappointed. I can't see $250,000 to finish drawings and specs of drawings that are already 90% complete, even with the added services that you're asking for. And I'm just hoping the staff has sat down with them and asked for some evaluation. I mean, they're asking for, and I realize this, I'm assuming this is the typical bill against and a not to exceed amount, right?
It is definitely not to exceed that.
Okay, so, and we check their timesheets that they turn in. I'm not, the hours should be checked, but more importantly, evaluated on the task items that are being charged for those hours. A CAD operator, 237 hours to finish, to revise the drawing. We're not starting from scratch here.
Correct. Well, a big component of that is that since 2000, the structural requirements may or may not change. So they need to go back and review everything and make sure that it's right. They will be, Corolla will have their stamp on it, and not any of
I understand, and I agree, but I think we both know that the changes that would affect our structures, the code requirements have been minimal since 2009, minimal. So I mean, if I couldn't do a review on those drawings of our concrete structures and our steel, if I couldn't do a review against the code in less than 2 days, 16 hours, I'm not worth what I'm getting paid. Corolla's been a great consultant, and I have no problem with the company per se. But sometimes we get into a habit of just a little bit too much of a comfort level, and we accept what's given to us. I think this is overstated by at least $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. And granted, we're not going to be charged against it. The only way that we can protect against that is to make sure that the hours charged against the task orders, the task items by the personnel is really checked thoroughly. I'm just not happy at all with that proposal.
So this is, I'm trying to think, doing this for a while now. So this design is sat fallow for 6 years?
So it's a 90% design. It's been sitting for about 7 years. So there's still 10% design complete on it. Plus, we've got to look at any code changes that may or may not have occurred over the past few years. Now, this assumes that there are code changes that are warranted, some changes to the 90% design. If we find, no, the 2009 design works fine, there'll be some cost savings and we won't spend not to exceed
All I'm asking is that staff do a real thorough job monitoring the accumulation of charges on those items, because I've done enough of these in my career to know that that's a lot of hours that I don't think are necessary. So if they don't get spent, that's great. As I said, I have no problem with the company, but sometimes comfort levels are too easily slipped into.
Do we have, how much of the original team is going to be working on tonight here? That'll help a lot. I mean, and I don't expect you to know, but I mean, is it like, do we have the same PE in charge, or is it
I know that Rick Jim, was involved in it originally, initially. He was kind of the project lead for it. He was one of their experts on district design. He is still involved in it.
And I ask only because, you know, kind of as an analogy, I have a CPA certification I have to defend as well, right? So if I was walking into a 8-year-old tax return blind, it'd be different than if I was walking into one that I prepared and put in a drawer 8 years ago. I would hope that they can move pretty quickly if it's one that this team is already, you know, to Ed's point, we have the same people carrying this thing, we'll finish like that, start from scratch.
And I'm hoping that they turn this thing out relatively quickly. I'd like to take this thing out to bid, this spring, so they can start construction in the summer, because they have to dig like a 30-foot huge hole, and I want that done before it gets wet like this.
So your timeline was very well explained. I don't want to hold the project up. And even if I vote against this, and I'm only one vote. But what I'm simply saying is that make sure you do a thorough job of reviewing what this task order is going to cost, because I don't think it should cost that much. And I've done these structures, and I've worked with Corello, and I've worked with many other design engineers, and I know what it takes. And it doesn't take 237 hours of a CAD operator to do 10% of the drawings, even with the revisions.
Okay, I will call for a motion in a moment, and those are all very good points. And I think, you know, beyond this item, I think you're hearing I hope you're hearing kind of the tenor of the points. And something I've been thinking about, because I see a lot of the same names come up over and over again. You get comfortable. I used to work for Montgomery Watson. I used to be in this business. And you get comfortable working with people, and then sometimes it's hard to push back and sharpen the pencil really hard and make one business. That being said, how about a motion? Because I think we do need to build this thing at some point.
I'll move for approval.
And I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Point of order. I think I misspoke when I asked for the remainder of the consent calendar. I said A and B. I should have said A, B, and then D, E, F, and G.
Is that what you wrote down?
I think that I spoke, I said,
I've got a consent calendar A, B, and C. Minutes.
oh,
Yeah.
I'm on the wrong page. Okay.
Never mind.
Never mind.
And what would tell us? All right, somebody got that, that's good. Okay, I think we can dispense with that. We're going to move on to 9A, and I got a little bit of reading here, folks. I apologize. Board business, we're going to have a public hearing considering adopting water rates under chapters 4.40 of the district code and rescinding resolutions numbers 11-13 and 14-13. All right. This agenda item includes a public hearing to consider adopting water rates under chapter 4.40 of the district code, rescinding resolution 11-13 and 14-13. It's funny, it doesn't say I declare it open, but it is open. Public hearing's open, and it looks like we're ready for presentation from staff. Caroline or Dan, or all of you can get back and forth.
Thank you. I'm Carol Atwood, the Admin Services Director for the district, and we're here to hold a public hearing and talk about a change in the way that we are billed by Zone 7 with our water provider. In October 19th of 2016, Zone 7 approved a change to their 3-year rate increase that was discussed in 2015, but did change the way that they built the district. They added a fixed component and a variable component, and what this does is help them in times of drought when their water sales go down to help with their reserves and to cover their fixed costs. Under 218, we are required to let our customers know that there has been a change in the way that they're billing us, so that we have full disclosure to our customers. We mailed out approximately 20,900 notices. We received 5 different protests. We are required to review those. We
to staff for comments and discussion. Silence here, all right. And now now that I'm actually able to read, yes, now the public hearing's open. We don't have any questions from the public. The one question I'll ask is, I know we had to do this not because the dollars changed, but because of the structure of this one, the rate change passed through. I'm assuming that this,
There's two reasons.
is there another reason?
The other reason is that every 5 years you get a look, come back around, you're going to have an automatic adjustment.
Okay.
The proposition 2.
Well, that's true, we ran out of CPI
Yeah,
adjustments, because
CPI.
because we set the rates so well last time, we really hadn't had a kind of readjustment at all. Good job 5 years ago. So we've written this thing with enough flexibility that if the zone tweaks the rates a little bit, or the shape of the rates a little bit, we don't have to 218 this again, we can pretty much pass through whatever they do,
Yes.
unless they do something radically different, but if it's,
Right.
all right.
But the past, if the past was for 5 years,
But no, the pass was forever. We've run out of CPI on our rates. You know, we put a CPI escalator, we've now used our 5th-year CPI escalators.
Probably technically applies to the past too as well, but
well,
in any event, you're supposed to go back at it at a certain.
but don't we have to do a rate study every 5 years?
Or yes, for DSRSD rates, we're going to do a study to apply in calendar year 2019. So we have that component in the work program. So that,
Or in other words, in this particular motion, we're reauthorizing continuation of the CPI.
So this lets the district increase our rate portion by 2.67%, which obviously the change. And it also reflects the change in the rate of the utility that's fixed to rate component. This is effective 3 years, about 8 that was going to staff in 2022.
So let's see, we'll have to do
So this-
one more time before we do this.
the cycles are now offset. And the Zone 7 cycle and the DSRSD cycle are now offset. So you'll have these, and we might be able to engineer it here over the next few years to get it back on the cycle, but it's something that we notice early to get back on the same cycle. But even then, if Zone 7 fundamentally rethinks their rate structuring point, that throws us off cycle. So yeah, we are in an awkward situation where our noticing the retail rate and their wholesale rate are now offset.
The reason we're not doing a rate study is because what's being passed through is, the rate study is done by Zone 7, so we're just passing it through. Only thing we would say is, see what they said. There's really not much else to say, so.
And you probably hear our sense, I mean, I support the zone, they've been a good partner, but I'd like to not be going out. Your 218 notices tend to be pretty non-controversial here. It's not the same as some of our other friends in the valley. And to not be going out with 218 notices based upon their actions very often. That being said, I think we can close the public hearing. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have some affirmative votes to close the public hearing? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, there we go. All right.
So that was,
Yeah, so it's closed. I'm doing this all wrong. That's okay. We're getting there. Okay, and I assume, Carl, this, all this stuff in quotation marks is required? Language,
Yes.
All righty.
Yeah, I mean, we have to, that's what we have to do, we may as well say it.
a determination about whether there is a successful majority protest needs to be made prior to the board's deliberation on the water rate proposal. The board's policy on Proposition 218, receipt, tabulation, and validation of written protests, provides that a written protest submitted to the district by mail, fax, email, or dropped off, except during the public hearing, must have been received or withdrawn by close of business 5 p.m. today. The policy allows the receipt of written protests delivered in person through the close of the public hearing. Does anyone present who has not yet done so wish to submit a written protest? Okay, the public hearing's been closed. Would District Secretary Genzali please state how many apparent written protests have been received?
In accordance with the board policy, Proposition 218, receipt, tabulation, and validation of written protests, a total of 5 apparent written protests have been received.
Excellent. The total number of apparent written protests totaled 5. In order for the protest to be deemed successful, a majority of the district's 20,871 parcels, or 10,645 protests, must have been submitted. So there were approximately 10,640 short. Therefore, the protest is unsuccessful, and under the policy, there is no need for the district secretary to validate the protests. The board may now proceed with deliberations on the water rate proposal. Now that we're in the informal part of it, any other comments? I can almost guarantee no, since we didn't have any in the formal part of it. Okay, here we go. Do I have a motion to handle this item?
I will move to move forward with the
And I will second.
I have a motion and a second on items 9A. All those in favor? Oh, aye. Now Carl's going to say something.
Well, I was just going to confirm that the motion was to adopt by resolution the rates and to rescind resolutions 1113 and 14-13. Is that what the motion was?
I'm sure that's what the motion was.
Okay.
But I'll let Director Mitchell off. Let's say yes. Say yes.
Yes.
There you go. Come on up.
That is what the motion was.
Okay, so we've successfully dispensed with that little bit of kabuki theater. Moving on to 9B. Approve. We did more sole source contracts last year than I did the previous. Okay. Approve the, this is item 9B on the agenda, approve the sole source purchase and authorize the general manager to execute a purchase order with Evoqua Water Technologies LLC for purchase of Durwa microfiltration membrane replacement. Before we move on, I notice I have a 9B loose. Is this
It's a substitute resolution, and new operations manager Jeff Carson will brief you on that related issue.
Before the briefing, I would remind any board member who might make a motion to pass this item, just reference that we have a substitute resolution so we get the right one in the right place. All right.
President, Vice President, Directors. This is on the Durwa Recycled Water Facility, and in particular, this is for the microfiltration unit. Now, this is a maintenance item in order to sustain performance, especially during peak times and during our construction. We're going to be relying on the microfiltration. So the sole source is the only manufacturer for this particular method that we currently have. And I brought in a sample so you can see what the sole source is actually about. There's 5 units, and each unit has 90 of these membranes. This is a cutaway section, and typically they're 5 feet long, and they're 0.2 micron, which is the size of a very small piece of sand. So I'll pass it this way if you'd like to see it. The way this technology works is the water exits the outside and enters the inside, and the solids and other contaminants will stay on the outside and get backwashed out. So what you're looking at is those little hairs are actually little tiny 0.2 micron tubes that allow the treated water to pass through. So this is an important item here. It's on the business instead of the consent because it's a significant sole source item. So it warrants an explicit board review. Legal had some comments and suggestions that needed to be revised in the resolution, and that's why you have the audit in front of it with the legal suggestions. So with that, the board requested to approve this resolution in order to enter into agreement with Evoqua for the purchase of these microfilters in order to run our system when it comes to recycled water season during the construction.
Questions?
So how many units, 5-foot units are there altogether?
There's 5 separate banks units, and each unit has 90 of those 5-foot long And they're inside of a canister, and it's a pressure differential, this method of treatment.
And these filters are unique to the design of the container.
That is correct. It's a sole source
Oh,
proprietary
They're the only show in town.
design. Roughly 60% of the U.S. Navy utilizes the same Evaco technology, and it's a big market within the U.S. as well.
What's the design life?
I'm sorry.
Design life on those?
Design life, it depends on what you want to put in it. You can put pore treatment, and it lasts less half-life, but typically 8 to 12 years if you want to put real clean water through them. We got 9 years out of these. And that one right there, out of one of the banks, actually has over 15 years of life. So we really optimize our process to sustain the maximum life out of those. Good questions.
And the filtration results that you get, we're happy with that. There's no-
Yes, we are. It's 0.2 NTUs is our limit, threshold limit, and that's steady state.
So at about $1,000 a unit for 9-10 years of life, that's not too bad.
Not bad at all.
This is a cost share, piece of your money, right? Those are direct. Is this a three-way cost share or a two-way cost share for this particular?
Maybe a crown question.
Because we're looking for, this is to look forward during construction, so I was curious if it's split 3 or 2 ways.
I haven't looked at the most recent Durham Pleasanton contract that was recently signed, but it strikes me that this is probably within that umbrella, but I can't confirm.
I believe this is just a two-way cost share because Pleasant's bought into the same filters, not this baseline system.
Is this the $475,000 that they gave us last year?
No, this is separate. That was paid for certain infrastructure associated with a separate sand filter system that had been installed a few years ago, and they were basically paying back for the line they would have had at that time. So that's how they had related to this.
One note on this also is our staff is doing the installation. There would have been a significant cost for installation with the manufacturer, but our staff has the technical expertise and they'll be installing these filters ourselves.
Can we buy stock in the company?
Apparently the Navy has.
Yeah, so they need to get heck of a markup some of that market. Okay, any other questions? Oh, wait.
I was just going to say the revisions to the resolution were intended primarily to make it clear that the same supplier is the one that has provided the existing microfiltering filters, and that we're matching those and putting those in, because those are important determinations for sole sourcing.
Here, even a cry for more questions, so I'll ask for a motion.
I will move to authorize the purchase order to revise the resolution.
Well, you haven't had one yet tonight,
No.
so Georgine gets one. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? No noes? I forgot to explicitly ask for that. That's a new thing. Okay. Approve board, committee, and joint powers authority assignments for calendar year 2017. It's been approved by motion. It's probably in my name on it, Brad. That's what I see. Yes. I spent literally days, hours slaving over this to make sure I had everybody slotted in the exact spot that best matches their temperament, their interests, their personalities. Actually, I just looked at last year's and it looked so well, and everybody had. It seemed like nobody yelled.
wanted to
Nobody
change.
yelled at me, and it seemed like the workload was kind of evenly spread. Assuming that Derwa and Mamba have a couple of meetings in a year, pretty much like they do these days. So I went ahead and took the stretch of just kind of going forward. Assuming that this is satisfactory to everybody, I certainly use a motion on this one.
Well, I'll move for approval of the assignments as you have suggested.
I will say.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Now, we don't want to pass everything I mean, tonight we can, but, you know, for the year, we don't want everything 5-0 guys. We need a little, you know, it makes for a stronger, livelier board to have a little bit of dissent, so. Somebody
We'll bring you
picks,
some tougher agenda.
somebody picks something in the
And
future.
vote no.
And vote no.
It'll happen, Rich, don't worry.
Excellent. Well done. All right, we're gonna, this is the best part of the year. No, second best. The audits.
Oh, God.
Audit night's the best part. This is the second best. Carl, it's Carl's show. He's gonna tell us all the very interesting things they've done in Sacramento to pass rules that apply to us that they explicitly do not apply to themselves.
Yeah.
And I can do it from the podium, I can do it from here, whatever you'd like.
I think that's Mike, right? You can-
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
As a matter of fact, they'll see you better there.
all right, fair enough.
Unless you
Well, I've
want
got
to.
a couple of copies for members of the public. The only person who's not a staff person here is Tara Chen, who is a law student who came visiting our office and wanted to see what local government law was about. So she's here in the audience.
And she will be
but-
changing her lead.
and she's already got a
County-
copy.
She leaves. For a change of major.
Could be. Well, this has been updated in a couple of respects. I had the wrong year at the top of the one I sent you the other night. I had an extra bullet on page 2, and I actually had the wrong bill number for the second item there. I'm going to touch on these pretty briefly because you've had an opportunity to read it, or if you haven't read it, you will have an opportunity. The first one I want to mention is AB 1436, first one on my little summary that I've just passed out. And that requires, this is part of the City of Bell legacy, requires public agencies orally report a summary of a recommendation for final action on salary schedules, or compensation for local agency executives. I've spoken with Carol or Michelle, I can't remember which now, sometime last year, and we've pretty much confirmed that the local agency executives are the senior managers and the general manager. But this is sort of a rather bizarre thing, because now you're supposed to talk about what the process was and why the recommendation was made to adjust salaries. And then included in the legislation is salary schedules, which are pretty much pro forma, so it's kind of silly in that instance, but we're going to protect the world against City of Bell, gosh darn it. How we're going to do that.
When's that go into effect?
Goes into effect January 1st.
Okay.
So we most recently approved the salary schedule at one of the December meetings, and it wasn't required as of that time.
Would the way we did it in December have complied, or
We would have had to do something more by way of prescribing, making a whole report as to why we were doing what we're doing.
More scripts.
What's that?
More scripts.
More scripts, yeah, that I'm tasked with coming up with a general script, but it's going to depend, of course, upon specific actions, except for a salary schedule, which is, the reason you do a salary schedule is somebody's salary has been moved. And so, that's why you do it. There's not much of an explanation for a salary schedule. The other thing that's interesting, and I'm not sure where exactly this goes, is this whole process doesn't affect the public's right to inspect records created or received in the process of developing the recommendation. So it's not clear exactly what that means. It could be negotiations, I suppose, or something strange like that. But anyway, we'll have to see how that plays out as this law is implemented across the state. AB 2257 will require that agendas be posted online and that they have a prominent direct link to the current agenda. So this is something that doesn't go into effect until 2019, and all the IT people will be figuring out exactly what this means, because I don't really do the tech speak. But it will obviously just make it easier for individuals to get to the current agenda.
It means you can't bury the agenda 16 pages deep in your website.
Right.
Yeah.
You're allowed to have an integrated agenda management platform, and I'd leave it to somebody else to explain what that means. But I assume that means a website other than yours where you store your agendas. I know some agencies do that. The next bill is AB 1787. If a member of the public comes in to speak, it requires use of a translator. They get twice the normal amount of time. Public Records Act. There's been an amendment to AB 2843. Specifically excludes home addresses, home telephone numbers, personal cellular telephone numbers, and birth dates of public agency employees. The birth dates and the cellular phones are new, but there's been a law that had applied specifically to cities and counties. I'd always taken the position that applied to the district as well, and so I guess I was ahead of the legislature as far as that goes. There's also a friendly bill is AB 2853, which allows you to post public records on the website. Then if somebody asks for it, by way of public records, you say, there it is, go look at it. And only if they can't get it for some reason or can't print it, you have to actually give them a copy. So that should make things a little easier for some public records activists. Turning on to the second page, there's a bill that amends part of the Prop 218 Omnibus Implementation Act. I only mention this because it specifies you keep your Prop 218 protests for 2 years. So we've got some that will go into a retention schedule and be kept for 2 years. Pollutant Reform Act, there's been a revision, SB 1107, that has to do with public funds. I think we're going to take some time over the coming year or two and try to figure out whether this might apply to the policy about candidate statement costs, because conceivably that's public funds, and this would require a dedicated fund and an ordinance be adopted. So we'll figure out whether we have to do that. I think that's the only way that would come into play here. There's going to be new online filing and disclosure for campaign and lobbying forms in a user-friendly format. Once the Secretary of State and the FPPC figure it out. Nothing much changed under 1090, which you'll remember is the pretty onerous conflict of interest laws that require that prohibit a board from acting on a contract that any board member is interested in, as defined in the statutes. The FPPC was busy this year. They modified, I guess 37 regulations if you add the 9 and the 8 and the 27, but some of those were repealing and reenacting differently. For gifts, if you should get the gift of a travel payment, you're required now to disclose the destination. The gift limit amount has gone up to $470. When that was adopted by the legislature, they provided for adjustments, unlike any of the other monetary limits in the political reform act. And then the processes for adopting and amending conflicts of interest were completely changed. The substance is pretty much the same, but the process involves sending an advance notice, advance setup to the FPPC staff, and they look at it and say, okay, you're ready to go, and then you have a 45-day period here, and there's another one up in Sacramento, and a hearing, if anybody asks for one, we have never had a hearing here. But what this ought to streamline things so we don't end up with a situation like we had with our 2012 conflict of interest code, where we approved it in December of 2012, and the FPPC approved it. We had to go through it and approve it again because they made some changes. It was not final until May of 2015. I don't know whether that's the poster child or not, but it's certainly what could have been. I'm sort of going off topic a little bit here just to mention, I just wanted to mention a couple of things. The Water Conservation Bill by SB 814 by Jerry Hill. He thought East Bay Mud just did a bang-up job with their shaming of water users and fighting of water users, so he wants to make that an option for everybody. Basically, you either have to have tiered rates or rate surcharges above a certain amount, or you have an ordinance that basically says this is the amount you can use, and there's a process for violations over and above that. You may remember that the ordinance we had in place basically did most of that. The one nuance may be that customers where there's sub-meters are supposed to be part of this process. And I don't know exactly how we'll figure that out because we try to stay out of that business. But we'll be looking at that as the year progresses. It authorizes fines of up to $500 for each 100 cubic feet of water used above the threshold, which is sort of a different way of doing it. Sounds sort of like a tiered rate, but if the legislature does it, I guess it's okay. And I just wanted to do a brief shout out to the Executive Order B3716 that was making conservation a way of life. That process, the governor directed DWR and the state board to work something out. They've sent out drafts. There's been lots of comments. This agency, Dan signed for this agency, a pretty long comment letter that attached another pretty long comment letter. So among the things that the group has been focusing on, I think there's over 100 water agencies that signed one in December. I don't know if it's a very high number. There's a need for an iterative process because the standards are technology driven, the way I understand it. So you've got to make sure that you can measure things that you're trying to measure in a sensible way. And it doesn't really take into account that recycled water is a plus. And it would incorporate it into the calculations to figure out how much of the reductions you're making. That really ought to be focused on potable water. That's what the comment letter said. Of course, I agree with that. And it doesn't really go as far as it could provide incentives for developing alternative supplies. So that's a work in progress. In theory, they're supposed to come out with a proposed draft framework by January 10th, 2017. I don't know what they're intending with regard to that date. They've come out with a couple of draft proposals, and I don't know what the status is that Dan or Jeff may have more information. But I just wanted to highlight that for you. And one that I found out only by reading about it in the newspaper, AB 1732, a single-user toilet facility, which means one with a single user that you can lock the door, will now have to be identified as an all-gender toilet facility by signage that complies with Title 24 of the Code of Regulations. I have no idea what that is, but we have until March to figure that out. The bathrooms back here would qualify. I've never been in the ones in the lobby, but I understand they're multiple users, so that would be subject to that. But this will be all over the district, every district building.
Do we have any single users?
Yes. The two in this hallway.
There's a ladies' room and a men's room.
No, I thought it meant just one room for both people.
No, single
No.
user.
No,
Like
if
only one at a time.
you could go in and use the bathroom by yourself and lock the door, then it becomes an all-gender toilet. So we have two all-gender toilets, we will have two all-gender toilet facilities here. It didn't, you might have thought they would have said in public areas or something like that, but they didn't. So it's just, this is Sacramento at work. We are definitely not North Carolina. Or Texas.
Not even close to it.
We'll never be.
And the last thing that I put on here sort of as a lark, but it's sometimes fun to talk about, is a new cell phone. Because I happen to be involved in one of the two leading published cases on cell phone usage. What this law will do is do away with the other cell phone case, People versus Spriggs, that said you can hold your phone if you use it for GPS. Now you can't hold your phone. It's got to be mounted, and it's got to be, if you're going to touch it, you got to just be able to do it with a tap or a swipe. And other than that, that's and if you've got a phone, a Bluetooth built-in mechanism in your car, this doesn't apply to that. So you can touch your dashboard all you want, but you can only do a single swipe on the actual phone itself.
In other words, you can be distracted by the screen.
Yeah.
By a phone.
Exactly. Trying to find just the right song on your XM radio,
Yeah.
And this thing has to be mounted so that it does not hinder the driver's view of the road. And one of the things it talks about is the center console. Now, I don't know whether hinder, if you're looking like this, that hinders your view or not. But anyway, so.
Well, you can test that. You've tested a couple of those. You can test that one.
I certainly could if I chose to.
Yeah, I don't think he wants
So
to.
it could be mounted with bubble gum.
Yeah, I mean, there's actually some references to another code section that says how you mount it on the windshield. It doesn't say how you mount it on the dashboard of the center console, but when you mount it on the windshield, you got to do it that way. So anyways, it's worth knowing. It's not really on point, but it's fun to talk about.
Back on a conflict of got a, I don't know if we all did, I got an email from the FTC about Form 700,
Yes?
and that's automated now.
I didn't? Oh, yeah, I did.
But anyway, we used to do paper ones, and we give them to this district
Yes.
and each JPA. What do we do now? We just do it electronically, and that's the end of it?
I think
It's in the
so.
file portion. Okay, and so Durwood doesn't need one now, it's taken care of. Or,
I'm just going by the email I got, that the instructions said that the FDCC, when you complete the form online, you're fine.
okay.
Yeah, the only question is whether you might have to do multiple ones for the joint powers, it's titled.
Yeah, I looked at the
I haven't looked at that closely.
Okay.
So that'll, yeah, it's a work in progress.
Yeah, we've got, step one is you acknowledge you got the email and pick a password or something.
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't send out a checklist, because they send out all sorts of checklists and things like that in connection with the new processes for adopting conflict of interest. And there was conflicts between some of the checklists and some of the vision, so we had to sort that out. Anyway, that concludes my report.
Any questions for our esteemed council?
These reports are a gem, I look forward to them every
They
year.
are, no, this is the second best item behind the audit.
Only because these are funny.
Wow. All right, and we have no action on that. We listened, we discussed a bit. Thank you for your time and effort. Actually, I'm going to pull mine. All right, we now are moving on to 9E, which I suspect is the general manager's item. Accept process and schedule for the 2017 update to the district's 5-year strategic plan.
So staff's proposing that the 5-year plan be updated concurrently with the upcoming 2-year budget process. This will be the 6th edition of the strategic plan. Proposed process and schedules included as attachment 1 to the summary recommendation. Some of the key milestones are, firstly, the board can provide informal commentary as in past years on the areas of focus. So if you have thoughts on strategic plan items and want to provide that to me, sidebar the next month, that will be welcome. Next week, we're having a leadership team annual retreat, our first annual retreat, where some strategic plan concepts will be brainstormed by the entire whole management team. In early March, there'll be a board workshop. This will be more of an unstructured conversation with the board and the executive leadership team. There'll be lots of moving parts. We'll talk about some concepts for the strategic plan. We'll bring forward a draft strategic plan in April for the board to consider, and we hope to have the final strategic plan for the board on May 16th, concurrently with the review of the draft operating and capital budget. The process is a little bit more free-form than in past years. The 2015 edition of the plan is attached for your reference. It should be noted that the 2015 plan was significantly streamlined from previous years, about half actually. Staff is proposing a further round of streamlining and reduction by at least another 50%. We have some kind of guiding principles and ideas to give you the framework of what we're going to suggest for the strategic plan goals and work plan. Firstly, the plan being more focused, even than in the past, on policy decisions and budgetary decisions that the board will make over the next 2 to 5 years. We'll be emphasizing things that will be changed in our day-to-day business. So it's more than just a recitation of recurring activities, but what will we be or could we be doing differently over the next 5 years. Thirdly, we're looking at how we adopt best management practices to stay up with industry standards that are always evolving, or creating best management practices to lead the industry. So in thinking about the strategic plan, it should be thought of as what is really important to the district. Sometimes people get lost in it. Strategic, it must be important. It's just the water and the sewer stuff we do, and that's not important. Strategic plan is important. And I don't think of it that way. I think of it as the day-to-day business and services we provide are what's important, and that's reflected in the mission statement and the foundation of our strategic plan. And the strategic plan is supportive of that. The strategic plan is thus the answer to what is important to change to better continue accomplishing our core mission as defined in our mission statement. We're proposing to shift some of the recurring major tasks to a separate administrative recurring task list, which we already have in draft form. Things like budgeting, elections, rate studies, contract negotiations, all these things are critical, but they are not strategic in the traditional sense. We're going to put more explicit emphasis on those goals that apply across throughout the organization and throughout the business. Consequently, that means a little less emphasis on discrete tasks performed by single departments, single divisions, or individual staff. And we want to show clearer communication of the strategic objectives to staff to help unify our efforts and also be better understood by the public. So that can be accomplished by shortening the plan and changing its focus a little bit. I just want to give you kind of 3 practical examples of the difference in tone that you'll see in the draft plan. So one of the main elements in the 2015 plan was we need to maintain our AA credit rating. But I don't really see this as a strategic objective. It's more an ongoing thing. It's a policy of the board. And perhaps it might be better to put that in a board policy rather than a strategic plan, because it's not something we really need to change. The second example is, in the past we've said complete a water rate study in 2018. But we're saying there's no, it can be reframed as create a water rate study that addresses funding for new water supply projects and that justifies creative tiered conservation rates. Because tiered conservation rates is an issue now in the water industry, given the aqua conferences earlier. So there's going to be things that need to be changed, the board's going to need to think about changing some policies or some practices. So the goal is written as what might we look at changing over the next 5 years. And then the third example is we wouldn't have 4 tasks out of 119, say, complete negotiations with garden units. Instead, we have a single goal that is implement a competitive compensation system that assures appropriate stability in the workforce and successful recruitment of key positions. So that's not talking about this year's check the task item. It's more like what philosophy or what policy ideas do we develop as a long-term strategy. So that's just giving you a sense of kind of how we're thinking the strategic plan will be reshaped and streamlined. Staff recommends the board accept the proposed process and schedule.
Questions or comments? So,
I have just one comment, and Dan, I can do it cycle if you want on email or something, but one of the on page 19, conduct orientation programs for prospective and newly elected board members. I just wanted to share how valuable, if I'm not mistaken, I was the first new board member to receive a roundtable of one-on-ones with all the department managers. And I think it's critical that it's maintained for the future, because I got so much of an overview I would not have otherwise had of what happens in the district, what each division does, what they're responsible for, and how it interacts with the board. I think that's an important thing to maintain for the future. Thank you.
I plan. So I have a question and a comment. The comment I hopefully will spark a discussion. So the question, just so I understand, kind of your rephrase our goals. So if it's something like the bond rating, continue to breathe, we don't need a explicit goal.
It'll be written down somewhere else.
But if this board decided that we're nuts and we said go out and get us a AAA bond rating, that would be a goal.
Yes.
All right, and there would be in some place in the meeting. That was the question. I just wanted to clarify that I heard, that I thought I understood what you're trying to do.
Exactly.
Now, the comment, which you may all mean, all of you may not. And we've gotten better at this. This plan used to be all the way down to like sub-tasks. I mean, it was not a strategic plan. It was some kind of crazy multi-year work plan that we may or may not get to things after the first 18 months on. And last year's iteration was much better. But is it time to, and I'm looking at page 6, because it's the first one, is it time to draw the board's line at goals and not even, I'm not sure, these tasks are more like implementation activities or something that goes into a budget that you guys are working against or something you guys Sure, I mean, you guys have plans to do everything, but, you know, do we as a body need to be down below the goals? Because if we can stay at the goal level, we can turn this thing into like a 4-page document and actually be talking about what we want these guys to go do. Versus, I've had too many mind-numbing meetings where this is streamlining, but we used to be crawling through, you know, bullet 1.0, 1.02, 12. And is that where you're headed, or were you still thinking of keeping this layer of tasks? Or were you going to try to steer us towards goals?
To give you a sense, the existing plan is 22 goals and 119 tasks. And I'm thinking maybe we end up with 12 or 15 goals and maybe like 30 tasks. That's the scale of that.
And then where I'm kind of pushing is, do the tasks even matter from us? Or do the goals and this is conceptual, guys, so don't let me, do the goals that we provide give you enough direction to go do what you need to do?
Yes, because we'll create the task list anyway on the side. And if it's helpful for purposes of streamlining communication, we can keep that on the side list and we can report it in appropriate venues. Like, okay, towards goal number 7, here are the 3 things that we did last year. And you can leave that to be a report. Or you can kind of have it as a roadmap of what we're going to do as we start to tackle goal 7. I've seen it both ways in agencies.
What do you think, George? You've been doing this a long time. And we don't like change too much, so, you know, I'm trying, I don't want to buffalo anybody. I'm just, you know.
It's interesting that this should come up now because you know, he said I've been doing it since the mid-90s. Our first strategic goal was a picture.
Yeah, I saw it, yeah.
Remember that one? And at the time I thought, okay, if anybody on staff's going to be able to follow what we said, good luck. But it finally worked its way down to something in writing.
Right.
And I know what Bob Beebe was trying to do. He was trying to introduce the concept because we'd never done it before. So I understand that, but then it got into writing it all down, and suddenly we were in the weeds.
It got burdened. It got seriously burdened.
I wasn't going to say that, but it's true. The engineer got involved, you know, and suddenly all the detail that I don't think we should be involved in got in the plan. I'm not sure I want to cut it off completely because I have just enough control issues to want to know what's going on in detail. But it doesn't need to be this voluminous.
Well, some of the tasks, though, kind of tell us what physical things are to be done.
So there are certain things that we might start calling performance measures that you might see separately in the budget document, but they don't clutter up your strategic plan. So you'll see human resources, what are they going to do this year? They're going to do contract negotiations and plans, it's going to review the budget, and engineering's going to go build digester 4. And those kind of things will still be present, but they won't be part of the strategic plan. They'll just be considered that. You'll see them still in the budget. They'll be a separate task list.
I just wanted to throw it out there.
Yeah, I think, I know when I first came on the board, I was astounded at the length of the document. I've never seen a strategic plan of that detail. But I like where Dan is headed. I think cutting it down to that proposed approximate volume is a step in the right direction, and we could probably take it further. I'd like to see that. I too would like a little bit of detail. It helps me get a picture of what that goal is going to be. But I guess from a perspective of format, the strategic plan needs to be concise, brief, to the point, with a few key bullet reminder points, if you will. So I think that's around that.
I wonder if they could be like
It could be.
Got the engineer here.
No, I'd ask for a spreadsheet.
Yeah. Well, that's what,
There you go, the
that's what
typical
this-
engineer.
I guarantee this is a spreadsheet, but it's not going to be sent to us. It lives back there as a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Sorry, Matty, go.
No, that's okay. On, we lay out the strategic elements, 1, 2, and 3, each segment. How close, if any, is there a correlation between the committees we're on? Because to me, the finance and personnel 1.0, there's none. And then water is
I
like,
don't see it at all, and that was one kind of awkward introduction to 2015
Okay.
plan that tried to break the work down by committees because the historic committee mission statements that seemed to be kind of forcing a square peg into a round hole, so I clearly would not want to go that direction.
so I want to make sure I haven't misunderstood, because
It actually, the three elements now kind of almost do.
they almost do.
Jive
Yeah,
with it.
water becomes.
Water's the
like
technical
lava
one.
under one.
The only thing that would concern me overall is that we get, I know we've always been accused of being deep in the weeds. And that's on purpose. That's because some of us came from Joe Covello when the weeds were nearly drowning them in the mid-'80s. And we learned they learned how to pull themselves back up. And consequently, these things were all designed so that the board was never far removed from the day-to-day operations. And then when you have a board member run into Pleasanton to pick up the payment so it could be deposited, so payroll could be handed out, that's far too deep in the weeds. But that's where they were in the 80s. And most of these policies are because of Don Schenner and Joe Covello. So, I mean, I do understand, and I don't want to get too far removed, or we'll find ourselves like the city of Dublin, who had no idea that their planning person had spent so much money on his open-end contract.
Yeah, we want to keep our finger on it.
Yeah, and I understand where Dan's coming from for sure, because this detail kind of, puts our little thumb.
Oh, and these documents don't come for free.
Right.
So hours spent doing this, or hours not spent making the water come out of the pipes at a reasonable price and the poop go for the hell.
Right.
I mean, that's what we do.
So that would be my only concern with stepping back a little bit, is that we don't step back too far, that we actually fall in the pool.
And that's actually, I mean, I wasn't advocating dropping
I
off.
don't agree.
I just wanted to throw it out as kind of an end, we used to be way
Yeah.
too detailed, and this is getting closer, and I would certainly like to see, what I'm hearing is kind of a consensus, keep it at more of a strategic board level, but give us enough detail that we're, you don't feel like,
But as I have told you all before, since we've pared down the input to the committees, I've felt very disconnected from what's going on a day-to-day. And that's probably because I learn more by talking about it and whatnot than just reading a document that says you built or whatever. It doesn't sink in when I read it. So with those two qualifications, knowing that, I may need to be a little bit more hand-cut with details. Maybe, I mean, I don't always know the question to ask to start with, like Ed does. But yeah, I think for the most part, I can buy into it.
Certainly, there's an opportunity, if you want to address that, if there are things that the board wants to know about, stuff that's coming out of the GM's bi-weekly update, or you just hear something or read something in the agenda report, you want to know more. If you wanted to have kind of a placeholder on each board agenda, we might be able to just get a briefing on some subject in detail. We can certainly do something like that to try to address the concern for kind of verbalizing and playing with an idea.
Well, I'm gonna say something kind of in agreement with what Georgine is saying. One of my concerns as a board member is, I remember Bert saying, and my orientation, what the board member is supposed to do is not run the district, right? We don't manage it. But at the same time, and I use the example of our district here in the Frog Valley. They found out way too late that the pension costs were off the chart. So when I see a set of bid documents that are already getting ready to go out to bid, and I know that our general conditions contain 2 or 3 obsolete, if not in fact contradictory, paragraphs that shouldn't be in there, I don't want to be voting no against the contract when it shouldn't have gotten to that point. And if staff missed that, we're all human, people make mistakes. But, in order to be current on everything, the committees did serve that purpose, absolutely. So I guess for my little niche, I'd like to hear about more than just, well, we're going to be going out for bid on the digester, but maybe it could be in a committee or a one-on-one. Could I look at those general conditions? Because we've got some things in there that are absolutely wrong. And they're not germane or in best practice with the construction industry public bidding process, like requiring a subcontractor to have bonding.
Well, sounds like we need more water resources, committee meetings on bigger tasks.
Yeah, I mean, but so free advice, that's what you're paying for. When I'm going to ask some totally unfair finance question, I email staff a couple days beforehand, because I'm not going to, because I know you, and I know your intent is never to embarrass staff and throw them in the bus.
Exactly, yes.
But if something's creepy, let them know. If it's creepy enough, they'll pull it. We'll get it fixed. That's one thing. The other thing is, and I kind of said it as an aside earlier on, even though an agenda item passes, a no vote, especially with a board that has as much concordance as ours does, those people aren't dumb. They know that. So earlier tonight with the Krill thing, you knew it was going to pass, and we have to get the work done. You vote no on that. Steve already is thinking, oh my God, I'm in a bit of the weeds on that one anyway. And he gets one no vote. That's halfway to 2 no votes. It probably won't happen again. So don't never be afraid of the power of the power of a no. It sends a signal. Okay, it may not get the item done that you want. It may not go the way that you want it to go, but it certainly.
Is it on the radar?
Yeah. These people count to 5, and they're smart people. They hear what we say. Sometimes what we say is gibberish. We're not doing right now. They hear what we say. And then as far as committees go, if it's important, we got to talk about it beforehand. Totally, I'm fine with committee meetings. The one thing I would point out to Georgine is, you feel extremely confident in whatever domain your committee's on, but that does nothing to fulfill your confidence or
The others.
about what else is going on. And the one thing that I think is good about having the committees, kind of go by the wayside as far as running every transaction through committee, is our meetings have gotten more interesting, longer, and more substantive, which was kind of on purpose, because when we started recording these things, some of the 14-minute specials we used to have, would not go well with certain members of the public if they started, see it that way. So the fact that we're hashing this stuff out, the 5 of us, I think is a good thing. Wow, we kind of we stayed. I think we're okay. No, I think we're okay with Mr. Brown. We stayed pretty close here.
Yeah, no, it was a broad-ranging discussion about the
Strategic plan.
And the level of detail and board management. I think that's fair game. I just was going to call your attention to a motion.
Yes, I think they want to accept.
In case you wanted to conclude the discussion on that note.
And I believe they want to basically accept the plan to make the plan.
Right, accept the process to make the plan.
Yes. Do I have a motion to accept the process to make the plan?
Sure, I'll move it.
Who wants? I
I'll
think you've got a
second.
couple, no,
We'll give it to him. I don't care.
we're tied for first. I think you've got, all right, so Ed gets the motion.
And I'll second it.
We get the
There you
second.
I move that we accept the proposed process and schedule for updating the strategic plan in 2017.
And I have a second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Moving on to board member items. We'll start over here. Ed, Nathan? Pat? No. Georgine? A couple?
None.
Well, yes, oh, fine.
No, that's my birth certificate. I always carry it with me.
Don't put that on the internet.
Yeah.
No way.
No. Okay, it's
I don't think so.
It's gonna be that kind of year, huh, folks? I'm sure there are some impeachment procedures somewhere in our Rosenberg Rule of Order if I get too far afield here. All right, I have no board member items, so Happy New Year, everybody. From Office 2017, we've got a busy year ahead of us, so it's gonna be fun. Did you have one or not?
No, we have you.
All right, and we're adjourned. Robert, mine too, but mine's right here.
Yours, what's the matter with yours?
One of mine's is.
Oh, well, in the first place, yours is in Texas.
Anybody that wants me to send around the word version of what I passed out tonight, I'm happy to do it.
I had to get a copy.
Oh, you haven't had a copy?
No.